You're listening to Conversations That Matter with your host, Terry Conrad.
Hi, everyone. I'm Terry Conrad. Welcome to Conversations That Matter. I am super excited to introduce you, if you don't already know, Michael Ackerman, who's a broker. They call themselves brokers down at Bain in Seattle. And I am so excited to welcome you to the program, Michael, because I had the great opportunity of being down in Bellingham and sitting in on a class at Coldwell Bain Bellingham. And Michael was up with Linda Aaron, who we've actually had on the show before. And he was there donating from his free time, I might add that, which is so generous. But he came in for two classes. So their office was fortunate enough to hear from Michael on video marketing. And then he did the next class the following day on listing presentations.
Correct.
Chocker full of gold nuggets, absolutely chocker full. So I'm like, Michael, you have got to come on Conversations That Matter and share your beautiful wisdom with our audience. So welcome.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here and to be asked. I love what you're doing. I love your company. I think what you're doing is so important. And just thinking outside of the box and making brokers and agents think outside the box and bringing a fresh voice to this industry is really, really important. So, and I love Conversations That Matter and what you're doing. So I'm very honored to be here. So thank you.
Well, thank you. The Love Fest could go on and on and on. We'll wrap that up quickly and dive into some of the amazing. I think what I loved the most about your presentations was, first of all, your generosity. You didn't hold anything back. You gave everyone in that class all your best ideas. There were so many things that stood out for me. Your attention to detail, your branding, your marketing, your video, I think what stood out most for me was your attitude towards the industry in general. And I kind of want to go down all those different tracks. But first,
Sure.
I want to read what you have on your website that I think encapsulates you so well. So you wrote on your website about Michael, I believe that real estate is all about connection, your connection to the home, your connection to each other, and your connection with me. My business thrives on balance, positive energy, and fulfilled promises. And I love that I think not only, you choose your words so carefully, just like you choose everything else that you do so carefully, but it's how you articulate and capture who you actually are. And I actually believe that what you wrote is so true. Can you tell me a little bit about why is it, because it is, what's your tag?
It's all about the connection.
Which you slack on the end of every one of your videos.
Correct.
And I believe that you mean that. How did you get to that point?
So when I first got into the industry 21 years ago, I hesitated getting in. I had a good friend who worked with Coldwell Bain, and he kept saying, I think you'd be really good at being a real estate agent at the time, broker now. And I was a little bit hesitant because I don't react well to salespeople. I don't respond well to that kind of pushy, they know better than I know. I kind of know what I want, and I always liked the freedom to be able to make my own decisions. So when I got into the industry, I thought, how am I going to carve out my niche? How am I going to be me and still be successful in an industry where I think the perception sometimes is that we're kind of pushy salespeople and we don't really listen. Mm-hmm. And so early on in the industry, I learned very quickly that I'm not a salesperson. I'm an educator. I'm a team member. I'm an advocate. I'm a friend. And so I quickly realized that's how I'm going to position myself in this industry, which might be a little bit different than what some other agents or brokers do. And that's okay, because that's truly who I am. So early on, I thought it is all about really connecting with people, making relationships, and creating such a stunning experience for my buyers or sellers that they're going to want other people to share in that experience. And that's how I become successful in them sharing, their great experiences with other people, becoming fans and telling all their friends and family members and workers or, people that they work with to use me as their advocate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So just the experience of spending, we've had the great opportunity of hanging out a couple of times, but just every time I get to hang out with you, the truth is you just lift the spirit of everyone around you. And that experience is so profound. I think that we're all looking to be inspired, to feel like, we're doing something good, that we're contributing, that need, that human need that we have to be contributors and to be significant and to be recognized and loved and all those things. You do such an amazing job of making everyone around you feel special and acknowledged, which I think is, profound, powerful.
Yes. And that comes from a true place. That is who I am.
And I think that's precisely why it works. You can't fake that stuff. Like, it's either there and it's real or it's not.
Right.
So I think that does. But you've done such a great job of articulating that in your branding and your marketing. Let's talk a little bit about, since your first class that I got to sit in on was your video marketing. Let's kind of go there first for a second and talk a little bit about, what is your strategy? How did you approach that? And what are you doing?
Well, as I said, I've been selling real estate since 1993, and my career was on a very nice trajectory until 2008, when we all remember a little something called the economic meltdown.
That was fun.
Yeah. And in Seattle, it didn't hit us nearly as hard as some areas in the country, but it did hit us. I mean, my income was affected. I probably made half of what I was used to making, which, again, I don't want to make this about the money, but I'm happiest when I can do what I do, when I am actually in front of people, dealing with people. And that was happening less and less because, of course, buyers were hesitant to buy because they were afraid that they would be overspending and the house they purchased would depreciate the next few years. Sellers, or a lot of them were underwater or just weren't going to make the amount of money they wanted to make. So they were holding off. So I thought, how do I get my voice out to the public to tell them, I'm passionate about doing this. I love doing this. And even in a down market, if you have a need to buy or sell, which a lot of people still do, marriages, extra kids, divorces, job transfer, I'm here to assist you.
Yes.
So I went to an event called RE Bar Camp, and a broker that you know very well, Ian Watts from Vancouver, British Columbia, was a keynote speaker. And he talked about how he had done video blogs in his car. He puts the camera on the dash. He talks for a couple minutes about real estate, and a light bulb went off above my head. And I thought, that is such an incredible venue to let the public on the entire planet know who you are, what special voice you bring, because we all have our special voices, we all have our special nuances, we all have our special personalities that people are going to be attracted to. And I thought, what an incredible way for me to be able to get my personality, my voice, and my experience in this business out to the general public.
Right.
So I started filming video blogs, which I've got a couple hundred now on YouTube, just about 2 or 3 minute blogs as a service to the public, talking about,
which was key.
Yes.
You're like, I'm going to deliver value.
Yeah, I'm going to deliver value. I want to dispel the mysteries of real estate. I want to tell funny stories and let the public know exactly what we do as brokers, because sometimes we do things behind the scenes and they're not aware of it.
Right.
And so it's really fun to let them know, hey, this happened. But just to share experiences and to let people know what had happened to me with my clients, and maybe they were experiencing the same thing with their brokers. So I never ask for business. I never say, hey, I'm Michael, I'm great at real estate. I just talk about specifics of real estate, structural inspections, sewer scopes, what is escrow, what is agency, and encourage people to have these conversations with their agents or brokers that they may or may not have had.
Right.
And so it's a service. I just feel like I'm providing a service and giving out something of value to the public, and people have responded very well to that.
Absolutely. It's amazing. All of your videos. And I love that you were really cognizant about keeping them short and sweet.
Yes.
Succinct.
Yes.
You've become like a pro at just, you're the one hit wonder, right? Like you just slap those puppies out pretty quick.
I'm pretty good at doing them in one take. I write my subject matter down. I put down 3 or 4 bullet points. I write them in front of me, look at them for a moment, and then I can pretty much deliver them. And as with anything, the more you practice something, the better you get.
Yeah.
So for those agents or brokers that might be watching this that have been wanting to do video blogging but have been a little bit afraid, don't be afraid. Go for it. The public responds incredibly well. Can I tell you a quick story about
please.
When people see you on a screen, whether it's on their television or the movie screen or on their laptop, tablet, or desktop, they tend to really believe and trust what they see. It's kind of like you used to believe everything you read in the newspaper,
totally.
which is hopefully true. But I did a blog about 3 years ago talking about the differences between a large condo as opposed to a small condo. And if you're a condo buyer, what the experience might be different if you purchase in one rather than the other. Not that one is better than the other, but what the differences are that you should think about as the public.
Right.
Just something that people may not even think about when they're new to the market. You know, a 15-unit building is going to be a completely different experience than a 250-unit building, which is it feels like a hotel sometimes.
Right.
And so each experience is different. I got a call about 2 weeks after I uploaded the blog from a lovely couple in New Jersey who called me up and asked me, they said, we've been looking with our agent. We're thinking about buying in either the Victoria or I can't remember the two names, but they gave me two names of buildings. And they said, which do you think we should buy in? And I was a little shocked. I said, well, and they were very sweet. I said, well, I appreciate the phone call. They'd seen my blog. I said, I appreciate the phone call. I said, I don't know those buildings specifically. I think you should work with your agent or broker to figure out which is the best fit for you. I just wanted to, give you some ideas to think about. But good luck, and thank you so much for the phone call. And they were so gracious. But they called me to ask me which building they should buy in. And at that point, I thought, this really
Powerful.
Works. People really listen, and they really trust the fact that I know what I'm talking about. So that was just kind of a funny story. And I wish I had known the buildings better. I could have given them some advice, but it was an incredible experience. And it was a light bulb moment for me when I thought, this works. This is valuable to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is so true. I mean, there's so many ways to connect, but the video feels like a one-on-one. I mean, even though you don't know who your audience necessarily is, they're sitting there watching you and they feel like you're talking to them. And so there's this affinity that's sort of built without you even really knowing about it.
Correct. This is like what you're doing right now. People may be watching this or maybe listening to this. If they've been watching, they have a very good sense of who Terry Conrad is. And now they'll have a sense of who Michael Ackerman is just from us having a conversation about who we are and what we believe, which is so important. It's just a great, I can't think of any avenue that I think has been more transformative to our industry and letting the public into who we are as people, because everybody has their own intricacies of what they feel like will work for them. And I know I said this in class, it's been a really great way for me to kind of decipher who I'm going to work with or not. The people that watch my blogs and like my personality and like who I am contact me, and we always have a really good fit. The people that may watch me that may not feel like we're a good fit, don't call me, and that's okay. I'm not meant to help everyone. There's probably another choice out there that's right for them, and that's great. That's all positive.
I love that you said that, because I've been saying this for years. In fact, the very first time I got on an agent reboot stage in Seattle, this is going back, 4 years ago, I said the pie is not only so big. There's enough pie for everyone. And if there isn't enough pie, then we go make a new pie. I mean, you just be yourself and you attract the business and the clients that frankly you'd rather work with anyway.
Yes,
right?
I wholeheartedly believe that. And I believe there's enough business for everyone. I come from a place of abundance.
Me too.
We are all in competition with each other as brokers, but I don't really feel like in some ways that we are, because no one else is me. No one else is going to be able to bring to the table uniquely what I bring.
Right.
And I know that, and I'm really confident about that. And when you were an active agent or broker as well, no one else was Terry Conrad.
Right.
So I think if more agents or brokers really intrinsically believed in who they are and the value that they uniquely bring to this business, the industry would be different than it is. I think I think it's great, and I think being in the inside of the industry, it's a lot different than I think sometimes what the public perceives it is.
I completely agree, and there's two sides of that too. Like in the coaching world, we talk a lot about transformation versus information, which speaks to the relationship and the trust that's built. So I know that you're that's a big part. Although you do have an abundance of knowledge and wisdom and experience, you're also bringing this great Michael Ackerman experience to the equation, which cannot be replicated. That cannot be taught. There is only one Michael Ackerman out there, unfortunately.
Right. There's lots of other good brokers, and that's why, like you mentioned earlier, I'm so open and confident about freely sharing what I do and how I do it. I started teaching for Coldwell Banker Bain agents and brokers a couple of years ago, and then I got licensed with the state. The feedback that I'd gotten was, the new brokers or the agents that I'm teaching always say, you give us so much information, like this is what you do. Because I went to so many seminars and conferences and heard speakers when I was newer in the business. And so much of the time they would just they would dangle the carrots, but they wouldn't give you the meat and potatoes. They would dangle the carrots, and at the end they'd say, for $400 or $1,000, you can get my system.
Right.
I just thought, I sat here for 3 hours. I want to know that I can walk out the door and have useful tools that I can implement this minute.
Absolutely.
And so I thought, if I ever have the opportunity to teach, which I love doing and sharing, I'm going to give the meat and potatoes, because no one else, even if I give out my listing presentation, which I freely do, it's to inspire the other brokers. It's not for them to literally copy it. But even if they do, it's still not going to have the same nuance that I have. They're going to put their own little spin on it and their own unique personality on it. And that's okay.
So true.
That's okay.
And you'll be doing it with clients that weren't going to be your clients anyway.
Correct.
I mean, this is where I get and we talked a little bit about this before, and I actually had this conversation with Michael Thorne on Mobile Agent TV, which is, we call them cooperative agents.
Yes.
For a reason, not competitive agents. And I don't know, but it's that old boys club, and it's that, keep it all tight to the chest. And I think it's the same reaction that we're having with the, losing control over the data and the information. And I think we've just, it's been such a shift. And it's really interesting. I think when everyone sort of takes a collective deep breath and realizes that this is how it's going to be, then it will be quite liberating.
I think it is. I mean, the industry I've seen the trajectory of the industry change since 1993. When I first started the business, there was the real estate books that came out every 2 weeks, and they had the little black and white photos of all the new listings, and we would drive out and look at them. We held the information. The public didn't have the information. And then when the internet craze took over and, affected the real estate industry, I think for the better. I love that the public has all of the information now. They still need help to decipher it and understand it and put it into context, which is what we are here, what we were here to do before, and it's what we're here to do now.
In an advisory role.
Correct.
Yes.
Because I don't think that we've lost, I think we're more valuable now than we were before.
Agreed.
Before, the public had to trust us to give them true information. Now the public gets the information directly from any of the various internet sites. We help them kind of frame it. Like, okay, you've seen this house on 8 sites. They may say 6 different things about the home. What is the true value? What is this? What is that? That is, our position now is to say, okay, big picture, well, let's take all that information and I'll make it make sense to you.
Absolutely.
In a very easy way.
Couldn't agree more. And to be perfectly frank, it's the most important part of the job.
Yes.
Like, gathering all the information and making sure you know the product and being confident like you are in working with your clients and making sure that as you're advising them, that you're giving them solid information backed with a lot of experience and knowledge. I couldn't agree more.
And I think one of the important things that I always keep in mind is, I've done this thousands of times with clients, but I always keep in mind that this is, whether it's their first purchase or their 5th, I'm very cognizant of the fact that I know this and I've been through this a lot. They haven't. Even if they've been through it before, they may have not been through it for 5 or 6 years since they purchased the last home. To make it fresh, to explain everything fully, I tell people, I'm going to pretend like you've never bought a house so that we're not going to miss one minuscule iota of information that you should have.
Love it.
And, any questions that you have, please ask. I'll explain it 8 times if I need to until you get it, because I really want you to get it.
Right.
And
we know, like, we've canvassed consumers around North America and said, what is your biggest complaint? And always it's, well, I don't feel communicated with.
Yes.
Right. Like there's been this lack of community. So the agent's working, really hard behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But this is why we have such a bad reputation. It's like we haven't communicated to our clients what we're doing and why that matters.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is so important. Yes. That's a great point. Yeah. Communication. I always tell my clients, you're going to be so sick of hearing from me by the end of this, but I don't think you can over communicate.
No.
It's the simplest thing. Like, if you're waiting for news on an appraisal and you were expecting to hear about it on Monday and you didn't, I will call my client and I'll just say, I haven't heard anything yet. just so you know, I'm on it. I haven't heard anything yet. I'll update you tomorrow. Some agents just said they don't have anything to report. They just won't call. I always call, even if it's to report that I don't know anything yet, because I feel like they're waiting. And as soon as they get that phone call from me, they can breathe and relax and go on with their life.
So true.
So I try to be that bridge of communication to really keep them ultra informed.
Me too.
So,
I love that approach. I think it's valid. I mean, we know when we're the consumer that that's how we want to be dealt with. We hate to be left holding and waiting. And so
exactly.
Common sense.
Yes.
Let's go into your branding, because I don't want to miss this. It's such an important piece of what you're doing. And so I want everyone to sort of sit and take note at Michael's very crisp shirt right now. This is a piece. You always look impeccable, and it shines throughout everything that you do. Let's start at the beginning. Like, what was the vision? How do you incorporate that? What is the overall, strategy? All of it. Let's dig right in.
Well, first of all, these crisp shirts do cost me quite a bit of money every month at the dry cleaner. But you can always iron. I just don't have the time to iron because I'm busy selling real estate.
That's right.
I just have always believed that our branding, and when I was new in the business, I didn't even think about branding. I think that's a word that hasn't been thrown around except for maybe the last 15 years or so. Mm-hmm. But intrinsically, I wanted people to know who I am, because when people start working with you, even from the very first phone call, they're getting an impression of who you are. If you are succinct and upbeat and are excited about real estate and you show a passion for it, that resonates with them. Especially during 2008 through 2011, I got a lot of listings because the sellers told me, you were the only broker that came to our home that wasn't kind of downtrodden, like, well, yeah, the market's kind of bad and we can try. I said, yeah, your house is going to sell. We have to position it properly. We have to, present it properly and price it properly for this market. But this is how we're going to do it, because you can sell any house in any market if you present the house right and price it correctly. So from the very first phone call, I do love real estate, and I feel really fortunate to be able to do what I love every day. Mm-hmm. And so that it's easy for me to be excited about it because I truly am. I think what we do is such an important service to the public. Home is it's a unique thing to everyone, but there's a line there's a line of commonality that runs through all of us. Home is where we nest and can hide and can love and can prosper and raise our families and have wonderful experiences like birthdays and bar mitzvahs and holiday, celebrations. Home is such an important thing to us. And I think Coldwell Banker in the last couple of years has done such an amazing job.
Read. Love the Tom Selleck campaigns. David Marine is killing it over there.
Yes, they're brilliant.
Yes.
What home is. And that's universal. And those ads, the first time I saw them was at Gen Blue, I think 2 years ago in New Orleans. I literally started crying in the audience when they showed it because it resonated. I get emotional right now. It resonated so profoundly to me. And I thought, they hit it out of the park.
I agree.
No longer is the public interested, I think, in how many houses you sell or how much money you make. They don't care. They want to know that you're going to be able to lead them through a stunning experience and get them the home of their dreams that is going to fit them emotionally and financially. And that is the goal, always.
Agreed. I love that. And I had the exact same reaction when that commercial came out, and I couldn't agree more. In fact, I don't think anyone's come close to touching how perfectly that campaign matched what we are trying to do in real estate
and what we've always done.
Right.
And exactly. And it sounds corny, but I did get so emotional because I thought, yes, that is the purpose that we strive for at every transaction and every moment with our clients. And so I think, and it continues to be brilliant. And then those other real estate companies are borrowing or, it inspired them to.
It did inspire. I think that, and that's a good thing.
It's great. Yeah. Great. It's great. So, get just more about branding a little bit. The way that I dress, I think about all of these things when I'm meeting clients. I always have a very clean car. I mean, these are going to sound really rudimentary, but it's the basis of my business and it works really well. I always have a clean car. I'm always on time, always on time. I dress appropriately. If I'm going for a upper end listing, $2 or $3 million listing on Lake Washington, I will probably wear a suit with an open, crisp, dry clean shirt. Mm-hmm. If I'm going for a kind of a hip studio on Capitol Hill, which is kind of a, a little more.
Love that area. So cute.
Yeah. It's kind of a hip, trendy area. I'm going to wear jeans and, and probably a more casual shirt. I want to appeal. If you give the public a reason to relate to you, they will.
Yes.
So I always try to think ahead, like, what is my perception of what this person might relate to? Music in the car. I had some Canadian clients last year, and I love Michael Bublé, and I know Michael Bublé is Canadian, so I put him on the car. They loved it. They said, "Oh, do you know Michael Bublé is Canadian?" And I said, "Yeah, I did know that. And I really enjoy him." I had another family that I helped for probably the last 9 months. I just sold them a house a month ago. They had moved here from the Bay Area, and their daughter loved Katy Perry. She just brought it up in the car one time. So the next time we went out, I played Katy Perry, and the daughter loved me, and the parents loved me because they're like, "Oh, you're playing Katy Perry," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, I remembered that your daughter liked it." So those little things that if you really pay attention and listen, that creates a whole another level of experience for your clients, and I think that's really, and it's a part of your brand. It's part of who you are.
And I tell everyone this all the time, which is brand is the entire experience. It's not just the logo and the tagline, although those matter.
Yes,
they're just one little piece. It's how they experience you at every touch point.
correct.
And with Michael Ackerman at every touch point, including the Katy Perry song in the car, when you've made a mental note in your mind,
yes.
and you've probably gone home and written that down in your file.
Yes.
How do you track all of those? Like customer management is a big issue for agents. How do you do it?
I take copious notes. When I go through a listing for the first time, the first visit, I'm there to meet the clients, learn about the house. I take copious notes about the house. I also take copious notes about the clients. I will make notes on my iPad or my tablet about little things, their pets' names, their children's names, where they're moving to. You try to make a connection and find a commonality with anyone to make the relationship more real. And it should never be something that isn't true and honest.
Yeah,
and
no, you don't contrive it. You're just,
you pay attention. And when the opportunity arises, oh yes, that is a connection we have. I make it evident to the person. But I will write all those down and keep a running file so that a year, 2, 3 years later, when I call, I can say, how's Asher? I'm dealing with these clients right now that I'm meeting with this weekend to list their condo. They met me a year ago. Right. They had a tenant. They decided to wait. I met them. Their son's name was Asher. I actually wrote it down. So when I talked to them a week ago when they recontacted me, I said, how's Asher? There was silence on the phone, and the wife said, I can't believe you remember his name.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, I do remember. I didn't tell her I wrote it down. And hopefully she doesn't think I'm creepy.
I don't think she'd think that was weird anyway. I mean, the fact that you took the time.
She said, it's amazing. She said, that's so impressive that you remembered his name. I can't possibly remember all the names, but your database is what that's for, is to really take advantage of that. When I'm out touring with people, I had a couple that moved here from California. They were just astounded that more houses didn't have air conditioning here. Yeah. So I wrote down in my notes, ceiling fan. So, because I said, well, you can get fans. And they said, oh yeah, that's a good idea. So when they eventually bought their home for a housewarming gift, I sent them a gift certificate to Modern Fan Company, and with a note saying, I'll pay to have this installed. You pick the electrician, pick out the fan you want. It. They were blown away. Yes. So it's your brand doesn't just stop when you give them the keys.
That's right.
You continue with a closing gift. You continue with follow-up. To me, it's a joy to be able to do that and to surprise people. And that's what it's all about, is these little surprises they're not expecting. But take copious notes. If you're out touring with people, don't be answering your phone talking to other clients. Be paying attention and clue into who you're with. I turn my phone off when I'm with clients.
Yes.
Because I want to be able to focus on them one-on-one. And so if you really listen and focus when you're out with people, it'll make a huge bit of difference. And they give you so much information that all you need to do is write it down so you'll remember.
That's true in life, frankly.
Yes.
Like, let's just be present. Anyway, that's a
Correct.
whole other conversation. I love that about you, though, truly. And so let's talk a little bit about the video marketing that you do. That this is going away from this conversation a little bit, but let's get into the details about how you present your listings and why they look so clean and so sharp.
Yes. I really love embracing technology, and it looks like I know a lot about technology. So I want to say to any agents,
it really does.
I know as much as I need to know to do what I do in real estate. Other than that, I don't know a whole lot. And you were at the class at Bellingham. I was teaching the video class at Bellingham, and I had a little bit of an issue with my laptop. And it just showed the class, you don't have to be intimidated by technology. You need to know people who know about technology to help you
Absolutely.
out. But I know as much as I need to know, and I do know quite a bit, which I've learned over the years, because the minute you start doing it, you learn it very quickly.
Right.
Especially in 2008 through 2011, I needed to personally and professionally come up with better ways, I think, to market properties, especially when it was in a down market. So I thought, what am I going to bring to the table that's going to be different from other brokers, and it's going to be fresh and new, and it's going to excite my sellers and the buyers that see the home online? Because online technology, if brokers aren't embracing that, they're just missing out on a huge opportunity. So I decided to really
Time out. Do you do any print at all?
I don't. Once in a while, Coldwell Banker Bain, our company, has an ad on the back of an insert in our Seattle newspaper. And so every once in a while, if I have a client that's really, really just will not take no for an answer on print, I will do an ad in there. But it doesn't get the return on investment for the money that I spend, and for what they're expecting is people wanting to come through their house by getting great exposure. That exposure piece is all online now. So I really don't do any print. I don't advertise any print advertising in my presentation.
I agree with that. I just wanted to kind of touch that.
Yeah.
So go back to what you actually do online.
Sure. So I love that you just said do.
I know. As soon as I said, I'm like, okay.
Little potty humor. Anyway, I decided to really have all my marketing evoke an emotional response from the buyers. Every single thing that I do with the sellers as a team, we're going to do this together, and I'll explain that, is going to evoke a positive emotional response from the buyers. So as a seller, all you can do is control presentation and price. That's it. Right. So presentation is a biggie. So if a home needs to be painted, or it needs any sort of sprucing up or updating, I highly recommend doing that. If it needs editing or decluttering, I like to use the word edit.
I had that in my notes.
Yes.
So it's not just what you do, but it's how you do it. And so just the simple things that you do, like with the verbiage that you choose. So edit versus declutter. And you say, price adjustment versus reduction.
Right.
And all of those pieces are so... I will encourage everyone to go and check out Michael Ackerman's site, which we will share. But just how just how you talk about everything is so. I think you've thought about it clearly. Yes. You've thought about it. It's very strategic. It's very purposeful and intentional. Yes. And it sets the tone for everything. Carry on.
Yes. I really do pay attention, and I've learned over the years, and I pay attention to what I do and what I say, and it has evolved over the years. I still learn when I do a listing presentation or a buyer intake interview. If there's something that I say that really works, I remember that. If it resonates with the people, I remember that, and I'll use it over and over and over again, because I want, again, to create such a great experience for building a relationship with who's sitting in front of me. So getting back to the emotional response on my listings, everything that I do really is to evoke an emotional response. The public now has so much information that is readily available to them. Mm-hmm. When they walk into a home, they've seen the pictures, right. They know the number of bedrooms, they know the number of bathrooms, they know the taxes, they know the comparables. If they're on Zillow, they know the Zestimate. Yes. They have a lot of information that they used to not have. So what do we as agents or brokers bring to the table to complete that experience? Because if we just market that it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath Craftsman, well, yeah, great, built in 1920. They already know that. Mm-hmm. So what do we do to heighten that experience? So what I've done in the last few years is I have, as a team with my sellers, I always have them create the 10 things that they will miss most about the home. It's a list that I have them email to me.
Right.
I type it up simply in a Word document. I frame it, and I have it in the home next to the flyers. Half of the items I want about the home itself, and half of them I want about the experience of living in the area that they live in, because the buyers are not only buying the home, the 4 walls and the roof, they're purchasing, what is my life going to look like, feel like, if I purchase this home on this street, in this neighborhood, in this city.
Yes.
So fleshing that out for the buyers is immensely valuable. Buyers have asked on numerous occasions for that list to be left in the home. And to me, I thought, this is value. They're reading this, they're paying attention, and they want that left in the home. So it'll be a little guide for them, especially if they moved in from out of the area, on what they can do. So, and again, the seller is an integral part of the marketing team for marketing their own home, because they know better than anyone else what they've loved about the home. And so I asked them for that, and they love giving that to me. I use that in all of my marketing. I'll use 3 of the items they give me to start out my marketing remarks on the website that I build for the home, on the flyers, in the MLS, any piece of advertisement that I do, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, I'll go into all that in a minute. I start out with 3 of the things. Sip your coffee on the deck and enjoy the view of Mount Rainier. Catch the latest blockbuster at Thornton Creek Cinemas. It invites people in and starts their imagination flowing of, oh, we love the home and we get to do all of these things, which I think telling a story, creating a story about the home is so important.
I don't want to interrupt, and I'm just going to let you go on your riff because you're doing such a great job. But I just think that is the magic that you create that so many others really struggle with. Yes. Because we've been trained to, list the benefits and the features, and it's so traditional, and it's just, and after you've done enough, it's like this home boasts 3 rooms and, 2 baths, and you just end up sort of repeating yourself. Whereas Correct. You're kind of painting the picture of what it's going to be like to actually live here.
Yes.
And attract the right buyer. I just think it's magic. Carry on.
Thank you. And there are some agents and brokers who are really hitting it out of the park with this idea. There's an agent, I forget his name. He's from LA. I think you talked about it. Maybe you talked about it in one of your conversations. I can't remember. Anyway, he filmed a video.
Raj.
No, it was somebody else. Oh. It's an Asian gentleman from Los Angeles. But anyway, he shot it. No, somebody else. But anyway, I love Christoph.
Yeah, okay.
And I love Raj. They're both great. Okay. Anyway, he filmed a high-end home in Los Angeles, and his whole story about the home was a couple getting ready to get married. And so he starts showing the home. He shows the master bedroom with the wife-to-be getting, dressed and having her makeup done. The husband pulls in his cool car into the double car garage. He goes into another part of the home to get ready. I'll get the name and number for you.
Yeah, I want it.
Not know the name for you. Yeah. It's brilliant. So it shows the home in the context of these 2 people getting ready for their wedding out in the beautiful palatial yard.
Right.
Brilliant. You saw the house. It paints an emotional picture of what is going to happen. It's a very romantic home. It was a brilliant story that he created for this home. Yeah. So I try to do that as well. I have video shot. I have professional photo shot of all my homes, because the first impression the public has of this home is not when they walk in the front door. It's when they're sitting in their pajamas at 10 o'clock at night, Bingo. Looking on the internet. That's the first impression.
Yes. So
everything that I do to bring to the emotional impact of that home, I want to be the highest quality that I can. And I don't care if it's a $100,000 condo or a $10 million home. They kind of get the same kind of service from me either way. Professional photos. I have a videographer shoot a video of the home. I've done a couple different kinds where it's just a video of the different rooms of the homes without me being in it. I've also done it with myself being in it, talking about the home, depending on what the seller wants. So again, I customize a special plan for each home with the seller so that they know we're a team and that we're working together. And that creates a loyalty that is so unbelievably important that even if the transaction doesn't go as smoothly as we all would hope, they already know and trust that I'm their team member, advocate. You almost feel like a family member after a while. And so I don't have to worry about my relationship with them. It's already been set, which is so important.
Like you're
exactly.
personally invested
financially and personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
So can we talk a little bit about that? Because I know that there are a lot of agents that are like, oh, well, that's a lot of money to invest in a listing that may or may not sell. Yes. You and I spoke a little bit about that, sort of that transactional attitude and how we need to eclipse that. What can you, what is your position on that?
Yes. My position on that is, if you want to best market any property and have the emotional response of that property be at its highest level so that the seller knows that they got the most money they possibly could in any market, you need to have all of your marketing materials and everything you do scream quality. And quality costs money.
Right.
So I could take my own photos. I'm pretty good at taking my own photos. I don't have the software to create the photos that my photographer creates.
Right.
They're astoundingly crisp and clear, high definition photographs. I want that to be out there for my clients. The video, again, is it adds another layer onto the emotional marketing. You can't Photoshop a video. So with the video, you're going to see how the rooms are connected, the scale of the rooms, the amount of light. So it gives you that added another dimension, I think. It also, when you watch the video, it paints such an emotional picture and story of the home.
I mean, these are not your typical virtual tours.
No, these are not pictures, stuck together to music, which again, if you don't have a lot of money and you're new, that is better than not doing anything.
Absolutely.
But I think actually having a videographer film, the home is the next wave of real estate. I've had literally, this is true, I've had on several occasions, I've done open houses and I've had the public walk in and they say, we saw the video of this home and it's lovely and we wanted to come see it because we were so enamored with it. We're not even in the market. We may not be in the market for 3 years, but we needed to come see this house. Okay, these people aren't even in the market and they're taking the time to come to my listing. The people that are in the market are flooding to my listings because they want a piece of that special gem that they saw online that was the video and the photos. So that's the marketing at its best.
So and what I kind of feel too is that like as you invest in each one of your clients' listings,
yes,
this is expanding your overall personal brand. I mean, to me, this is marketing you
Correct.
as well as marketing the listing.
I pay around, on the average, probably $350 for the photos for my videos, depending on the size of the home, and on an average, $500 to $700 for the. $350 for the pictures, $500 to $700 for the video. So that's about $1,000 right there.
Right.
Which sometimes in class, when I say that, I can literally hear the gasps from, especially the newer brokers.
Yeah.
I know that it's a lot of money to spend. However, it's not just that I spend that money on that listing, and when that listing sells, I'm very happy for the seller that I was able to create an experience that attracted the right buyer to give them as much money as they wanted for the home. But I also load those photos, the videos, and I do create websites for every single one of my listings, which is easier than it sounds. It's a software company that I didn't create, that I just use, which is wonderful. But those videos and the photos are online forever. I have all my property videos uploaded to YouTube, to my personal website, to Google+, Facebook business page, my Twitter account. Those are on forever. So somebody who gets on my YouTube channel, watches my personal video, and then clicks on some of the property videos, that is marketing me and my brand. This is what I do. This is how I prepare my listings for market. It speaks to the quality of what I bring to the industry. And so the public resonates or connects to that. It resonates with them. And the ones that have an immediate need will call me and say, can you do a video like that of our home? And I'm like, sure, let me come over and see your home. We can talk about all of the marketing that I do.
Absolutely.
But it's investing in your future in this industry. So don't think that money's just gone. It's building, you're spending money on yourself and investing it in the business that you're going to continue doing for years. And that's the most important thing.
And it's especially, and I try to really, hammer this point is that, especially on the front end, as you're building your business, it's so imperative to create that experience and to show that you are invested in your own business.
Correct.
I think that's sort of huge, actually.
Yes. I've had many sellers tell me, because a lot of brokers aren't spending money on video, which is all a personal decision. And I'm not saying, you have to, but that has given me such an added edge and another tool in my tool belt that sellers, when they watch a sample video, when I show them on my tablet, I can see their eyes light up. And literally, unless somebody else is going to, I don't know what else another broker is going to do, I pretty much know when I walk out of that first meeting that I kind of got them in, their interest peaked and they're wanting a video for their own home. And when at the end of the transaction, I upload the photos and a copy of the video onto a disc and I send it to the seller as a gift for them to be able to remember how wonderful their house was.
Right.
And their house never looks better than it does right before they put it on the market, hopefully. And so, here you have this like enchanting vision of the house they're leaving and they love it. Yes. They love it. And for buyers, they can send it to their friends and family who may not be in the area to show them what they're buying. And it's an incredible gift that they're able to do that because it allows their loved ones to be able to share in the experience.
Not to mention marketing for you.
Yes, correct.
I mean, it's just fabulous. So anyway, we only have so much time. I could talk to you for hours. So there's a few things I still want to touch.
Yes.
And one of those is you shared a story in your listing presentation class about a client that you helped. And you got quite emotional when you shared that story. And I thought, I don't want to make you cry. I'm not Barbara Walters. But I just thought this story speaks so well to the man that you are, the human being that you are, And we talked briefly after that about how I feel that if more people in our industry were like you, our industry would be a very different place. And I feel that, it's important. This is the conversation that matters, that
Yes.
we go into, what is it that we want our industry to be? How do we want to behave as agents? You know the story I'm talking about.
I
Do you want
do.
to share
And I'll
that?
try. Yeah. I get emotional. I do. Even thinking about it. So I had I had a client, and he couldn't sell his house. He'd had his house on the market for about a year, and it was in Bainbridge Island, which is an island close to Seattle. I don't know that market real well. He'd had the home on the market for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
Backstory is he and his partner had bought it together. They had built it, actually. They had got it.
Wow.
Yeah, they built it. Stunning. It was like this big kind of cabin chateau. It had a private guest cottage and another little cottage above the garage. So they would rent those out at
Wow.
VRBO. Beautiful property, but it was on 10 acres. I mean, it was a very unique property for a unique buyer. He had it on the market because, unfortunately, he and his partner split up. His partner stopped paying the mortgage. So my poor client was on the hook to pay it, and it was very expensive.
Right.
He was getting into a situation where he was not going to be able to pay the mortgage for much longer. And so he called me. He got my name and number from another client that we both know and said, I'm kind of at my wit's end. I only have a couple more months of funds to be able to give to this home. So I really need somebody who's going to be able to sell it. So I said, I'm great at marketing homes. Let me go see it. It was beautiful. I did partner up with a local broker on Bainbridge Island that I know. She lives on Bainbridge Island. She works Bainbridge Island because I'm really good at marketing. She had the relationship with and the reputation on the island for
great
being known.
Business decision. Yeah.
It's great for brokers not to just want to take all the money. Do what's best for your client always. Partnered with her. She's incredible. And we've become incredibly great friends.
Awesome.
And have shared clients since then.
There you go.
Which is, it's all good. It all comes back. You send out the good energy, it all comes back tenfold. I believe that, and I experience that every day. Anyway, so we got the home sold. We marketed, got the home sold in a month to a couple from Los Angeles. They were very excited about it. We got, through a series of events, when we got close to closing, he realized that there was an $11,000 shortfall, a gap between what it sold for and what he was going to have to bring to the table. And he was really panicked. And we sat down at a meeting, and he said, we can't close on the home. I don't have enough money. I'm just tapped out. And he goes, I think I'm going to have to just let the house go and go into foreclosure, which would ruin his credit and all of that. So the listing agent, the co-listing agent, sorry.
This is what makes you so special. This is what makes you so fabulous,
we just
honestly.
said to him, we're going to give you that money out of our commission, which blew him away. And God loved the other agent too. That's why I love her so much. Okay. Without a hesitation, we were both like, we're going to do this for you because it's not going to close if it doesn't. And we gave $11,000, which is a big chunk of what our commission was. It didn't matter because at the core of this, that is why we're here as a service to the public, to be able to let them move on with their lives in a positive manner. We changed the trajectory of this guy's life, at least in the short term, because he was going to lose the home. His credit would have been dirt for 7 years. And he was so blown away. He couldn't believe that we just stepped up in a nanosecond, said, I looked at her and she nodded, and we said, we're going to do this for you. And I was so happy to do it. Not that I'm in this to make money, of course. We all are doing what we do so we can support ourselves and our loved ones and our family. But truly the core of what we do is to really service our clients. And I feel like whatever I need to do, I'm going to do to make the experience good and to do the right thing. And we did. And it's literally one of the most, I'm probably proudest of that transaction that I am of any of the ones that I've done, because I know that I and the other agent were so important in being able to, for him to be able to move on with his life in a positive fashion. He's been so appreciative. He's referred me numerous clients. Well, that's not even what that's about, but he couldn't believe it. He just said, you guys, this is above and beyond what I was even expecting. And I'm actually helping him now I showed him last night a lovely home with his partner. He's going to buy a home with his partner, and he can now because he's got great credit. So to me, it's just such a it was just such a profoundly moving experience, and I love that was able to do that for him.
You were an instrument, and I love how you said it. There was an opportunity to do the right thing. And
Yes.
I've said this to you before, Michael, and I'm going to say it again. If more agents were like you, our industry would be a very, very different place. And I feel like the more we talk like
Yes.
this, the more conversations that are public like this,
Yes.
the more we really are raising the bar. And I thank you personally. I'm thanking you because I do think you're making such an impact in this industry. It makes me proud to be a part of it.
And I wanted to say, I do really well in this industry. And, I don't give away commissions a lot because I do stand up for my commissions.
Absolutely.
But again, I don't discount my commission, but I'm willing and open to have a conversation. I tell my sellers this, I'm not going to lower my commission. I'm charging you the full commission that I charge. But if I need to step in at some point in the transaction, I'm open to that conversation to let them know that I'm not just, this is all about the money for me. It's about the experience. And if you give it away at the beginning, you have nothing left to give later on. And I wouldn't have had that $11,000 to give him if I had reduced my commission at the beginning or adjusted my commission at the beginning.
Yes, exactly.
But I wanted to just say, I make a really good living. I do really well. And I firmly believe that if you do the right thing and you have a clear intention of really serving the public and having fun and solving problems and really creating a dazzling experience and creating a noteworthy relationship with this client, the money's going to come. I don't worry about the commissions. I don't really worry about when my next commission check is coming. I just have faith that it's going to be there. And it is. I just concentrate on, my listing presentations and, getting listings and creating a great experience with my sellers and my buyers. And they tell everyone, and that all does come back. Another really important thing I want to say is, to all your agents or brokers out there that are watching, really do embrace online reviews. If you create these great experiences, you're going to get, once in a while you'll have maybe a person who is not as enamored as you'd love them to be, but that's okay. You have great reviews and maybe not so great, but that creates, I think, a reality for the people that are watching. But embrace online reviews because it's a window for the public to be able on their own to go in and do some research about what you do and what the experiences are of the people that have worked with you. And that shouts much louder than any marketing you can pay for or do yourself.
Agreed.
So I think it's a newer caveat, and I'm embracing it wholeheartedly, and it works really, really well.
And it just adds to your digital footprint, makes you more discoverable.
Does.
I know. The benefits go on and on.
Yes.
Michael, this has been such an amazing conversation. We could talk literally for hours. I don't want to keep you all day. Before I let you go, though, and I mean, basically, I already kind of know where this is going, but I always ask all my guests at the tail end of every conversation, what do you want your legacy to be? What is the most meaningful to you in your life?
Yes. I think if I can leave any kind of legacy my legacy as a person and my personal life and my career is the same. I just feel like if we all come from a place of sincerity and clear intention and positivity, there are bumps in the road for all of us. And I have been blessed to have a very lovely life, but part of that I think is luck, and part of that I've created for myself.
Absolutely.
But I think, what you give out, you get back. And so if I can leave anything as far as my legacy, I would love for people to know that I was a true person. I was an honest person. I had a lot of fun. And I really just embrace and enjoy and love the experiences and the relationships that I create with the other person, either in personal life or in business. And I think if all brokers and agents did that, it would raise our industry to a different level. And I think the public's perception of what we do would be very different because being in the industry, it is really different from what I think the public perceives that we do. And if you're a great broker and a great agent and you pay attention to all of these details, it will lift the industry up. And I think also, I'm just going to go on and on, but I love sharing with other brokers and agents when I teach. I also love sharing in our office. Our office at our company, Coldwell Bain's environment is if we all share and we all make each other better, we're all going to do better, and our company's going to do better, and our industry's going to do better. It's this upward spiral in giving and sharing freely. If you have something you do that works really well for you, don't be afraid to share it with new brokers or agents, because they're not going to replicate exactly how you do it.
Right.
I think there's an old school of thought that if it works for me, I'm going to keep it a secret and I'm not going to share it because it works for me and I've got mine and you need to get yours. I just don't agree with that at all. I think if we all share and we're confident enough in who we are and what we do, that kind of upward spiral will radiate out and just create a much better industry for everyone, the public and the people working in the industry. So that's where I'm coming from. And if I can do that every day in my little circle that I work in Seattle, that's as much as I can do. And if that resonates to other people and they continue to start to do that, I think that is an amazing thing. It would be an incredible thing. So, and all possible.
You are my hero, and I'm certainly going to try and be more like you. I am so grateful. What an amazing conversation. I'm going to re-listen to this a few times, I'm sure. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for asking me. I really appreciate it. And I love what you're doing, and much continued success and luck to you. You so deserve it. You're amazing. Anybody who hasn't looked up Terry, if you're watching this, you probably know who she is. Agent Quest.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so
Terry.
much.
Talk to you soon. See you in a couple weeks.
See you in Coldwell Banker.
Yes.
Gen Blue.
Gen Blue. Yay.